Hola, sean bienvenidos. Les habla Rosa González, estudiante de Comunicación Social en la Universidad del Zulia, Luz. Hoy les estaré hablando sobre un fotoperiodista muy famoso y es Steve McCurry. Steve McCurry ha fascinado al mundo con fotografías que exponen la humanidad en tiempos de guerra e incertidumbre. Su maestría a la hora de narrar historias, dominar los colores y componer imágenes tan contrastantes y únicas de culturas ya sean lejanas y minoritarias, antiguas o contemporáneas, le ha valido un puesto especial en el fotoperiodismo, convirtiéndose en todo un referente para futuros narradores visuales desde los años 80. McCurry es muy conocido por su histórico retrato de 1984, La chica afgana, que fue la portada de National Geographic más célebre de la historia, y por derecho propio una de las fotos en general más conocidas y comentadas de todos los tiempos, publicada en el número de junio de 1985. Pero esta hermosa fotografía no es la única obra maestra de McCurry, ni tampoco su única pieza inolvidable. Así que hoy les estaremos hablando sobre la vida de Steve McCurry y sobre su trabajo como fotoperiodista. Steve McCurry nació en Filadelfia, Pensilvania, el 24 de febrero de 1950. Entre poco y nada se sabe de su infancia y adolescencia, pero uno de sus intereses desde muy joven era el cine y la historia, razón por lo que cursó ambas carreras en la Universidad del Estado de Pensilvania. El joven McCurry hizo sus primeros viajes con tan solo 19 años e inicialmente su gran sueño era volverse cineasta, pero en la universidad se enamoró de la fotografía y en especial de la realizada desde un ángulo humanista y periodístico. Así iniciaría su carrera como fotógrafo en blanco y negro para un periódico local de Pensilvania durante 3 años, en los que la retrató vida diaria en el estado. Después sería freelance para así trabajar en distintos medios sobre temas de sociedad, geografía y política en revistas especializadas hacia tales categorías. Al final logró licenciarse en artes teatrales e inicia en 1977 su primer gran viaje al exterior, a la India, donde vive por un año, y luego a Pakistán en 1979, donde logra camuflarse como uno más al vestirse de manera similar a los pakistaníes. Se alojó en hoteles baratos e incluso peligrosos, en parte para pasar desapercibido, en parte porque no tenía más dinero. Con el tiempo, el entonces fotoreportero se ganó la confianza de un grupo de pakistaníes que le ayudaron para llegar a Afganistán ilegalmente, justo días antes de que el país fuera invadido por las fuerzas soviéticas. Gracias a ello, Steve McCurry logró capturar un momento histórico que casi ningún medio occidental pudo presenciar tan directamente y en vivo. Tras 2 semanas logra escapar a Pakistán y para pasar desapercibido tuvo que coser las carretes alrededor de su ropa de estilo mujahideen, ocultándolos así en todo su cuerpo. Como resultado, fue uno de los primeros fotógrafos en retratar la brutal invasión soviética y ganó la medalla de oro de Robert Capa, que se entrega a quienes se les considera que han hecho los fotoreportajes más valerosos de cada año. Inmediatamente atrajo la atención del New York Times, Time y Paris Match, medios en los que su trabajo sería expuesto y celebrado. Los 80 empiezan por todo lo alto para el joven Steve, ya que empieza a trabajar para el National Geographic y viaja a otros países en conflicto como la antigua Yugoslavia, Líbano, Camboya e Irak. Además ingresó en 1986 en la mítica agencia Magnum Photos. Esta sería la primera etapa de McCurry, caracterizada por el fotoreportaje de guerra y sus víctimas, su época valiente, en la que el visor de la cámara le ayudaba a enfrentar las crudas escenas de dolor e injusticia, etapa donde incluso arriesgó su vida varias veces.
I started my photographic career in a very small newspaper in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I always had a passion for photography, but I also had a passion for travel. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to go to new places. I wanted to see the whole world. I went to India because I thought there was no better place, and a place that had so much depth, cultural depth, a mix of religions, and the old and the new, and the rich and the poor. I just thought this would be a wonderful place to start this journey and this sort of voyage of discovery. The beauty of the work of Henri Cartier-Bresson was that he was able to blend great stories, great composition and form, and capture the right moment, the peak moment, the decisive moment, as he referred to it. So, I mean, picture making, photography is a blend of use of light, composition. But for me, the most important element of a picture, the thing that I really look for first, is a human story, is a picture that shows what life is like on this planet that we live on. That's really my first objective, not the color, not the light, but really the subject matter. I see myself essentially as a storyteller. I see myself, in a way, an essay, a photographic essay is a story about a place, a region, a people, a tribe, or whatever. I love to show a complete look at a region, or a subject. Take, for instance, the nomads of India. To me, how they live, what they look like, where they travel to, their customs, their culture. To me, the whole story is interesting to me, not just one picture. But it's also great to be able to tell a complete story in one image. That's sort of the ultimate goal, I think. I think a great photograph, a great picture, is one that you can't forget, one that in some ways stays with you, and perhaps you learn from it. It's something that you go back to. It's a picture that becomes iconic in your mind, and a picture which represents a place or a feeling or some event. That's what a great picture, one that you can't get out of your mind. Well, going into Afghanistan for the first time was a bit of a frightening experience. I was invited to go in by the Afghan people to document what was happening, which was their villages were being destroyed and bombed, and it was refugees were fleeing literally by the millions. But to go into another country without a passport, without any security, there were no police, there were no telephones, there was no way to communicate, there were no roads, no hotels, no restaurants. I mean, and the place was under basically civil war. It was very kind of, I would say, frightening for somebody who had never experienced that before. So, but once I crossed over into Afghanistan, I quickly kind of acclimatized and became very, I got very interested in the story, and it became something which I, in fact, followed and have followed for 30 years. I was doing a story in 1984 and 85 on Afghan refugees on the Pakistan-Afghan border. It was a powerful experience, and I photographed one young refugee girl who, as soon as I saw her, I knew she had an incredible look, an incredible, beautiful, haunted expression. And I knew it was a powerful image, but I had never dreamed that it would end up being a picture which was, would become an icon, and a picture which would be recognized around the world. I mean, there's no way of really anticipating that. But I did know that this was an incredible portrait. This Afghan girl I photographed in 1984, was an orphan. Her parents had been killed in aerial bombardment by the Afghan Russian army. And immediately after that, she became a refugee. So at a very young age, she's an orphan and then a refugee. She's had to flee her village. And then she, going from a kind of a beautiful home to living in a tent. So this had a dramatic, I would say, negative effect on her, as it would anybody. And to have to grow up under those circumstances must have been extremely difficult. I think that story indeed was written in her face. I think some of the hardship of her life was, actually you could see it in that expression. It's fascinating to speculate what it is about that image which has really struck a chord in people all over the world. I think that there's a combination in that photograph of there's a beauty. I mean, she's an extremely attractive little girl, but there's a real genuine, authentic quality to the picture. There's the expression is a bit ambiguous, but she's not posed. She's looking very honestly at the camera. There's a bit of curiosity. She's looking into a camera which she had never done in her life. This was the first time she was ever photographed and the first time she met a foreigner. So there must have been a tremendous amount of curiosity and bewilderment of, what is basically going on here. But you have that also with this whole, her life and her background and the fact that she was a refugee and an orphan and living in a very awful situation. I had been looking for her, in fact, for probably 10 years. I was always inquiring friends, what happened to her, we need to find her. But after September the 11th, we made a very serious, there was a lot of interest in, who was she? We were wondering if she was still alive. People had told us that she had been, killed. So we got very curious and we wanted to go and make a very serious search to try and find her. So we went back to the same refugee camp and we got very lucky. It was like a miracle that we were able to actually find her. And when we actually met her, again, after 17 years, we were so thrilled and so happy and grateful that she was still alive and that we were now in a position to actually do something good for her, to make her life better, to give back to her. So this was a great opportunity for us to find her, meet her, and actually attempt to set about, educating her children and helping her in every possible way. When I'm photographing on the street, in the genre of street photography, you want to be invisible, you want to be unnoticed, you want to be unobtrusive. That's so that life can happen and you're not influencing it. If there's a couple on a park bench, you want to photograph that relationship without disturbing it. If there's somebody playing with a dog on the street, you want to photograph it without disturbing it. So I think human behavior or animal behavior is fascinating and it's best left in its natural state without interjecting yourself. I think there's no such thing as being totally objective. You always bring your own biases and your own passions. But I think that it's important to be, as a kind of a reporter, as a photojournalist, as a documentary photographer, you're bound to tell honest stories and to present the facts. I think if people feel that you're not fair, and then it spoils your integrity, it spoils your credibility. As a kind of a reporter, you have to have credibility. You may feel a certain way, but you really have to report the event or the situation in a very honest way.
Está a Steve McCurry, del periódico El Tiempo. Además de Afganistán, ha cubierto otros conflictos. ¿En algún momento ha estado realmente en peligro? Tuve un accidente aéreo sobre un lago de Eslovenia en 1989, pero eso no cuenta como conflicto político. Fue un estúpido error humano. He tenido incidentes menores en el Líbano y en otros lugares como en la Guerra del Golfo. La verdad, nunca he sido un fotógrafo de combate, porque en los conflictos solo me intereso por lo que sucede en la periferia, las consecuencias en los seres humanos. Realmente nunca me han interesado los combates. Pero usted cuenta en su libro India que en 1996 estuvo a punto de ahogarse en Chowpatty, una playa de Bombay. ¿Cómo es esa historia? Era un festival en honor a Ganesha. No sé qué pasó. Algunas veces la gente se emborracha y no le gusta que los extranjeros tomen fotos. Unas personas se pusieron violentas. Ese tipo de cosas suceden. No es divertido, pero a veces la gente se sale de control. Francisco Lacerda. Debe ser extremadamente difícil llegar a algunos lugares que aparecen en sus fotografías. ¿Cuál es la imagen más difícil que ha tomado? Steve McCurry. Trabajar en Kuwait desde la Primera Guerra del Golfo fue una experiencia inolvidable y surrealista. El ejército iraquí dejó a su paso una devastación absoluta. 600 campos de petróleo ardiendo, animales asustados y hambrientos vagando sin rumbo, y un paisaje salpicado de cientos de soldados iraquíes muertos. Fue una visión real del infierno. Hoy, con una carrera de más de 40 años, su portafolio contiene fotografía documental, comercial y editorial a través de fotografías de viajes, retratos y animales tomadas en los 6 continentes del mundo. Cabe recalcar que ha ganado 4 premios del World Press Photo, un premio nacional de fotógrafos de prensa, y desde el 2019 es miembro del Salón de la Fama de la International Photography Hall of Fame and Museum. En total, más de 15 prestigiosas distinciones ha recibido a lo largo de su carrera, la mayoría entre 1992 y 2003. Además que Steve McCurry ha publicado varios libros sobre sus trabajos como fotoperiodista. Por ejemplo, Devoción, Amor y Espiritualidad, Steve McCurry, Historias y Sueños, Las Grandes Fotografías, El Mundo en Mis Ojos, entre otras. La pasión de Steve McCurry por el fotoperiodismo ha sido tan intenso que ha arriesgado su vida y aún hoy podemos asegurar que su preocupación por contar historias y visualizarlas no cesa. Pues aunque esto no se sabe demasiado, es fundador de Imagine Asia, una ONG que busca y facilita el acceso a la educación a las infancias de Afganistán. Queda claro que Steve McCurry es un fotógrafo cuya máxima está en darnos un vistazo al lado más humano de la humanidad, así sea en tiempos en los que parece reinar la desazón y la injusticia. Hasta aquí el video de hoy, donde he estado hablando sobre el fotoperiodista Steve McCurry. Steve McCurry es un fotoperiodista que nos ha enseñado que a través de la fotografía también se puede contar historias crudas y realistas de la humanidad.